This is Dave Jerrido. Welcome to a special edition of the Politics Blog Spot right here on Monday, November 5th, 2012, one day before the big presidential election. What we want to do right now is go through and do an electoral vote analysis state by state, see where we stand, and see if we can possibly project who the next president of the United States will be. Barack Obama or Mitt Romney. Now, first, let me just make one thing clear. This is a nonpartisan, non-biased analysis. This is strictly based on the best information that we have available of what we predict the next president will be. And again, one thing to note is these polls that you see on the TV and maybe even on the internet where they talk about it being a dead heat. The latest polls say 49-49, this and that. Those are polls based on popular votes, the national popular vote. The president is selected by the Electoral College vote. The only way to get a more accurate count of where people are, status of where the votes are, is doing it by state analysis of the electoral vote in those states. If you just strictly look at the national popular vote, we could look at a scenario similar to what happened in 2000, where it was Al Gore versus George Bush, where Al Gore won the national popular vote, but George Bush won the Electoral College, and that's what elects the next president. So now, having said all that, we're going to look at the electoral vote count state by state. I don't have too many formats. I just have a couple sources here that I'm looking at online that are fairly reliable, and again, just gives facts. We're going to look at what the breakdown was in 2008 when it was Obama versus McCain, and we're going to look at where things are projected to stand as of now, 2012, Obama versus Romney. And so when we talk about Democrat, we're talking about Obama then and now. When we say Republican, we're talking about McCain in 2008, Romney 2012. All right, so having said that, we're going to look at three different categories of the electoral count status. We're going to have either strong Democrat or Republican. We're going to have solid Democrat or Republican. And then there's weak Democrat or Republican, and then there's like toss-up where it's like it could go either way. Having said that, with the toss-up, the weak categories can go either way as well, depending on what happens tomorrow and the turnout. But the other ones that are solid and the ones that are strong, pretty much you can put those in the bank for whoever those are. So we want to get those out the way first. So having said that, let's do the solid, strong states first. The solid Obama states: California with 55 electoral votes, Delaware with 3 electoral votes, Washington, D.C. 3 votes, Hawaii 4 electoral votes, Illinois with 20, Maryland with 10, Massachusetts with 11, New York with 29, Rhode Island with 4, Vermont with 3, Connecticut with 7, and Washington with 12. Pretty much bank those in the Obama category. The Romney states, and normally these states go in these particular directions, have a history of going in these particular directions. So for Romney, put in the bank Montana with 3, South Dakota with 3, Alabama with 9, Alaska with 3, Arkansas with 6, Idaho 4, Kansas with 6, Kentucky with 8, Louisiana with 8, Mississippi with 6, Nebraska with 5, North Dakota with 3, Oklahoma with 7, South Carolina with 9, Tennessee with 11, Texas 38, that'll be his biggie, Utah with 6, West Virginia with 5, and Wyoming with 3. Bank those into the Romney category. So that leaves us with a good number of states that could go either way. And actually, let me add a few more to those two categories. We got with this moderate category, which pretty much is a bank unless something really drastic changes. If one of these goes the other way, that could really make the difference, but I don't think it's going to happen. So we've got Maine with 4. These are Obama states you can bank. Maine with 4, Michigan with 16, New Jersey with 14, New Mexico with 5, Oregon with 7. Put those in the Obama bank. On Romney's side, you can give him Arizona with 11, Georgia with 16. I'm surprised that's moderate. That usually goes Republican. Indiana with 11. And Indiana, 11 electoral votes went Democrat last time. So that's a pickup. It's a turnover for the Republicans. Missouri with 10. Put those in Romney's. Now, that leaves us with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 states that are pretty much toss-ups, that I'm not comfortable saying one way or the other. For sure, according to this information. But I'll give my own personal opinion on where I believe these may go. Florida with 29, that's going to be the biggie. Florida and Ohio always in play every election, and they've got I've just listened to CNN, they've got the attorneys lined up in both states looking for any irregularities, any shenanigans, making sure that every vote's counted, every vote counts in these states, because we all know what happened in 2000. We don't want to go through that again. But again, in Florida, they're keeping an eye on those things. Now, Florida, according to my sources here, is leaning in the Romney category. Okay? 29 electoral votes up for stake in Florida. Romney is in a position that Al Gore was in 2000. Because right now it's advantage Obama in the bigger scale. In the larger scheme, it's advantage Obama. If you add all that stuff up I gave you, all those numbers. And Romney's in a position where he can win, but he's got to get a lot of these swing states. Mainly Florida. Just like Al Gore in 2000, if Romney does not carry Florida, that's probably it for him. Sayonara for Romney if he doesn't get Florida. But he can not get Florida and still win, but he'd have to run the table almost on the rest of these states. North Carolina with 15, Virginia with 13. Pennsylvania's actually in play, although it's leaning Obama, normally goes Democrat. Some of these numbers are coming in saying it may be closer than the experts think. Ohio with 18, that's always in play. Leaning Obama. Romney really needs to get Ohio if he can. And here's another reason why he really needs Ohio. No Republican president has won the White House without carrying Ohio. So if for some reason Ohio does go Obama, but Romney runs the table everywhere else in these other swing states and wins the presidency, he'll be the first Republican president to have won the White House without carrying Ohio. So Ohio's a huge, critical state in every election. Again, along with Florida. Other states in play, with Wisconsin with 10, normally goes Democrat, but it's close. Iowa with 6, close. It was close in 2000 with Al Gore. They didn't call that state till about 2 in the morning. Nevada with 6 is close, leaning Obama. Probably going to go in his category. And then you've got Colorado with 9, according to the information I have. That's about as tight as a spandex bikini with the numbers there. So that's one where the candidates really want to fight. I believe that one is leaning Obama, but again, that could go either way with the information I have here. So again, North Carolina 15 in play. That's tight as well. The local news here in North Carolina say that that's virtually a dead heat. It went Obama last time, barely. I believe it will go for Romney this year. I believe that's going to be a pickup for Romney. And that'll be a turnover for the Republicans. So put that one in Romney's category according to my unscientific information. Pennsylvania, again, let's go back to that one. Interesting note about Pennsylvania. They had initially passed this voter ID law in Pennsylvania, which would require photo ID. Democrats fought left and right, and I believe they had that law repealed. That could have hurt the numbers for the Democrats if that law would have been upheld, but it was overturned, I believe. So that voter ID law probably got the Democrats more votes than they were initially expecting. So that might have saved that state for Obama. Florida, there was been some problems in Dade County. There's always problems in Dade County, Broward County, strong Democrat counties. There was some early voting done over just this past weekend. And actually looking at CNN right now, I think they're talking about it, where there were some really long lines in the early voting, and they were supposed to end at a certain time, and they were shutting it down at that particular time, but there was still a whole lot of people ready to vote out front. Caused a little ruckus. They opened the doors back up and let the people in. Again, these are the shenanigans that the attorneys are watching closely to make sure that everybody who's eligible to vote is able to get their vote in. So, having said all that and adding all this up, it's advantage Obama, but I would not take it to the bank just yet. Anything could happen. Could be a big surge of Romney voters that come out tomorrow, especially among what they call those likely voters. If they all show up, could tighten things up really tight, and we could be in for a long night. CNN says we could have another 2000 situation where we're waiting for either Ohio and or Florida to get the final results and make sure that the numbers are correct and make sure all the votes that need to be counted are counted, because this thing is hot and tight this year, and we want to make sure that everyone's vote who's eligible to vote is counted and who has voted. So having said that, if you're watching this and you have not voted yet, and it's not, the polls are open where you are, please go out and exercise your right to vote. This is critical. This is very important. This will determine the direction of the country for at least the next 4 years. And whichever candidate you decide to vote on, who you believe has the best agenda for the country, you need to go out and make your voice heard and make your vote count. So I'm Dave Jerrido. Thank you for watching this special edition of Dave Jerrido on politics.blogspot.com. We'll see you next time.